problem. On a scale of 1 to 5, I'd say close to your level 4, level 5. Before I actually do this problem, let's take in a couple of little concepts and understand what's happening. X to the negative 1 is the same thing as 1 over x. X to the negative 5 is the same thing as 1 over x to the 5th. And x to the negative 3rd is the same thing as 1 over x cubed. You guys get the point. So if you have a negative exponent, so in this case I had an x to the negative 1, that would be the same thing as 1 over x. So the 1 at the top, and there's a 1 down here, so it becomes positive. Over here, x to the negative 5, if I want to rewrite this as a positive exponent, you have to bring it to the denominator and throw the 1 at the top. So let's say if I had x to the negative 2 equals 20y. You know x to the negative 2 is the same thing as 1 over x squared equals 20y. So if you see this expression, you should know that this expression is literally the same exact thing as that expression, because the x to the negative 2 and 1 over x squared are the same exact thing. Now, one other example would be this. If I have, let's say, x equals 2y, okay? And the question saying what's x to the negative 1, which is what it is in this case. Remember, x to the negative 1 is the same thing as 1 over x, right? Now, we know that the value of x is 2y. So value of x over here must correspond to 2y, and there's still the 1 over there. So you know that x equals 2y, and the question is saying what's x to the negative 1? X to the negative 1 will just be 1 over 2y. Make sure you understand this little concept over here. Watch this little 20 seconds again if you need to, because this will really make this problem that we're going to work on next a lot easier. So let's get to the problem. Now the problem is saying 4x cubed times y to the negative 1st equals 120 x squared. My end goal is to figure out what is the value of x to the negative 1. Okay, so let's hop over here now. I'm going to try to combine my like terms. So really I want to get the x's together and I want to get the y's together. See how this is y to the negative 1st? Y to the negative 1st, I can rewrite this in the denominator, but with a positive 1. And that'll equal 120 x squared. Now this right here is the same exact thing as that. All I've done is just because this was a negative exponent, I brought it to the denominator and it became positive. Now I'm going to cross multiply. So I'll multiply this side by y. Remember, this is just y. We don't necessarily write the positive 1 there. And I'm going to multiply this side by y. So now I'm going to have 4x cubed equals 120 x squared y. Still on the same path of combining like terms, so let's get the x to the other side now. So if I do 120 divided by x squared here, 120 divided by x squared here, this cancels out. Now over here, I'm going to have 1 over 30, because 4 divided by 120 is 1 over 30. And now x cubed divided by x squared. Remember, the rule is if you're dividing and you have the same, so if you're dividing like we are in this case, and we have the same base, which is the x, you subtract your exponent. So that's x to the 3 minus 2, or just x to the 1st. So that right there, there we go, that is the same thing as x. So I'm going to get that x right there, and that'll equal y. So let me write this a little bit more clearly. So this is just 1 over 30 x equals y. My end goal is to get to x to the negative 1. So I'm going to try to get the x by itself first. And how can I do that? By multiplying this side by 30 and multiplying this side by 30. So that 30 cancels that out. You're left with x equals 30y. Now, this is where it all connects together from that example that I was giving you before. I want x to the negative 1st. X to the negative 1st is the same thing as 1 over x. So if I know that x is 30y, I'm going to put the 30y right there, match it up with that, and then 1 right there. So 1 over x is 1 over 30y, and we know that 1 over x is the same thing as x to the negative 1st, so I can say x to the negative 1st is 1 over 30y to be my final answer.